Now this plant is a beautiful sycamore. It's a Arizona sycamore. They do take water. But around here in the Keystone Botanic Garden, our water level is only 3 feet deep, and during the summer when we start getting the rains, it can come up to within a foot. So a lot of these trees, once they hit the water level, they grow. This tree would probably not be a good idea for people living not in the valley, but it's a great plant for those that do. It's a native, it gets beautiful white trunk, and it's very easy to take care of. I wouldn't suggest it. What I would suggest is the desert willow back there with the red flowers would be great for everybody else in the El Paso, Las Cruces area. That is a great plant because it's from our area. It does well here. Once it's established, it does not need any water, even supplemental water. But establishment means when you buy it in a little can, it's going to take 2 or 3 years for it to develop a root system that will support it even in drought. Also remember that even though it will survive a drought situation with no supplemental water, the more you water it, the better it'll bloom and the prettier it'll look. And that particular variety is called Lucretia Hamilton. And most of the desert willows are pink, but that one is a beautiful dark burgundy red, and it's a favorite in many of the native plant circles. So I would suggest you get one of these, and maybe for contrast get a light pink one too, which we'll see right here. This is the light pink one right here. They have done a lot of work on desert willows in breeding them. You can see this one, this one has a lot of little ugly seed pods from it. Now they have developed seedless desert willows called Art Seedless, and that is a variety that's actually available. Art Seedless, it means that maybe they have 2 or 3 little pods instead of a whole bunch of them, and they're not as messy. We also have one called Bubba. It's another variety. We don't have it here at the park, but it has 2 times the size of those pink flowers and bigger leaves and a much more robust tree. So if you are interested in looking up any of these varieties, you can go to Mountain States Wholesale Nursery on the internet and go to their plant database, and they will show you all the different varieties that they grow, and many of them are sold here in our area. So I would write that down and ask your nursery, or ask your UTEP has a big plant sale every year. It's University of Texas at El Paso in April, and they carry a lot of these varieties every year. So they are available in our area, and you don't have to just get the little weedy looking willow. You can get all these other wonderful varieties of willows. On the other side of our water feature, the big pond, we have another wonderful plant. We have 2 wonderful plants that people really like. This one is called the Scarlet Powder Puff. It is, or Fairy Duster. It is a cross between the Baja Fairy Duster, which is a big red one from the Baja California region, and our little pink one that's native to our area. It does lose its leaves in the winter, but in the summer it gets these beautiful little puffy flowers, and it's a wonderful addition to any garden because once again it's hardy to freeze, but at the same time it's very, very low water using. Once again, 8 inches a year. Once it's established, you wouldn't have to water it hardly at all. I call it one of my bulletproof plants because you can hardly kill it. Next to the fairy duster is this wonderful grass that people go gaga over, and it's called the Mexican feathergrass. Mexican feathergrass is a wonderful landscape addition. It has fine, fine leaves. Right in the spring it was darker green, and then now it turns into that pretty yellow. It has a fine texture. If you are watering your area, though, with a sprinkler system, it does come up from seed and can kind of take over, but some people don't really mind it because it's so pretty. So I would definitely suggest that everyone should look into the Mexican feathergrass as a nice grass accent. Remember though, grasses go dormant in the winter, and you don't want to cut them back until spring. And you don't want to cut them back all the way to the ground. You want to cut them back when you see the first little leaves coming up, and then you whack them like a crew cut, maybe by half, because so many people cut them way too down and then they come up all funny. So that's just a little hint there. These two trees, there's actually two trees here. The upper tree is the hackberry tree. We have that here growing in our canyons in Las Cruces, Organ Mountains, and our Franklin Mountains. It makes a kind of an unworldly tree. It just sort of kind of goes crazy, but it's a really great low water using tree with leathery leaves. And below it is the Mexican buckeye. It's a little bush, and it's interesting. This is how they grow in the arroyos around here. The hackberry always grows in the middle of the Mexican buckeye. If you notice, if you get a close-up of the seeds, they're covered with little pink flowers in the spring, and then they make these big, huge, beautiful, round seed pods. And they're pretty neat. They're very interesting, and they have 3 shiny black seeds in each one. What's so nice is you get the shade from the top hackberry, but you get the color of the spring pink flowers. So it's a really nice different, and it's a natural effect because this is exactly how they grow in the arroyos here. Okay, this is an acacia. This is a sweet acacia. A sweet acacia is a great plant. It gets covered with little orangey yellow balls, that's its flowers, in the spring, and has the sweetest smell. It has small leaves. It does have thorns, so you have to watch where you put it, but it is another great shade tree for our Southwest in that it will take our 8 inches of water a year, and it does go dormant in the wintertime, but it comes back in the spring and makes this lovely, beautiful tree that doesn't get too big and gives you shade and some protection for birds in your area. So it's a good tree to have, and a very, very low maintenance tree. This back here, this beautiful little bush here with the yellow flowers, is the creosote bush. And you find that along, we call that the 75-mile-an-hour bush, because that is something you can spot from your car as you're driving through the desert. There's millions of them, but this is the wonderful bush that when it rains, you get that great smell. So it has a lot of oils, and it's an evergreen. It is hard to transplant, but if you can get one in your yard, they're really great. Here's another hackberry. That's another form of a hackberry. They are just interesting trees, and they're not messy. They don't put out a lot of little berries or anything. They're a very clean tree.